I feel like a Londoner, but I don't really feel English. I just threw myself into modeling at first, which is like faced lots of rejection. Went to China and just was working like 7 days a week, went crazy, workaholic, and tried to turn that into something better.
今天我们采访的是郭头头，大家都知道他是中英混血，然后是在英国非常有名的网红。他是演员，是模特，是帅小伙。今天我们来到他的家里边，跟这个帅哥聊一聊，他到底是谁？他认为他是中国人还是英国人？还有为什么现在还没有女朋友啊？怎么回事？头头，
为什么还没有女朋友？
为什么你这么出色的人，现在还没有女朋友？你是不是太挑了啊？
没有太挑，就是找不到啊，找不到，真找不到。对。
Oh dear. Okay. We don't believe that. Okay. So Toto, tell me, like, do you think you are British or Chinese?
To be honest, like, it's such a complicated question.
Yes.
And the answer is really complicated too. But I think I always say I'm Chinese. I feel more Chinese. And I think, like, when you're in videos and when people ask you this question, it's better to give a clear, simple answer. The simple answer is Chinese. And I want everybody to know that, to think that I want to say that with this opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But really, of course, like, I grew up in London. Everything I was taught was in English.
British system.
British culture, British everything, right? So the reason why I feel more Chinese is because, remember, like, when I grew up in London, everybody focuses on the Chinese side. Nobody says, like, wow, you're half English, that's amazing. Like, no British people are going to say that, because in London especially, we always celebrate other people being from different places, diversity. So when I was young, everyone was focusing on my Chinese side, right? When I'm in school with my friends, we're always thinking of ourselves as, oh, we're the Chinese in this school, or we're the Asians in this school, right? Yeah. So this side of me is always like something that I share, something that I'm proud of, and also something that I want to learn more about, because my dad didn't teach me Mandarin. We only went to China, I think, once before, when I was a kid, right? So until I was like finished university, I never went there, you know? So this side of me, I always wanted to explore it. I want to become more Chinese. I want to learn Mandarin. I want to discover this side of myself. And in my heart, I just feel more Chinese. I don't really know why. Like, and to be honest, the truth is, like, I feel like a Londoner, but I don't really feel English in the way that, like, say you have someone from the English countryside, for example, right? And they're from a completely different background from me, and let's say they live in like some huge country estate, right? And we talk, like, I don't particularly feel that we're the same, like, from the same background, or we're necessarily both English, maybe British, but then if you know, compare me with someone from Scotland or Ireland, I don't feel like this person from England is particularly the same as me, you know, because we're completely different, right? Whereas with China, maybe because I'm like an outsider looking into China, for me, when I meet Chinese people, they can be from Beijing or Shanghai, they can be from anywhere in China, but I still feel like there's something there where we're all Chinese, and I don't know why that is, but, you know, growing up in North London is so diverse, such a mix, so that's more what I feel like a mixed London Chinese mess of a person.
So you
right?
don't know who you are, basically.
Basically, yeah, that's the truth as well. Yeah, I don't really know.
不知道自己是谁。
不知道, yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, I don't know. But definitely, if somebody said, like, do you feel particularly British or English? And that's not a criticism or a bad thing at all. It's just that, you know, I feel like a Londoner. Yeah,
I think what you're saying is like completely makes sense. You represented a group of people. So like you know, ABC and BBC, so, you know, they're mixed.
Yeah.
Right. So they're a little bit here and a little bit there, and then they grew up at different environments, but you know, the same parents, like from the same country as well.
Yeah.
So it's all very strange in the way.
It is strange.
That's why I make you think I don't know who you are. Typically, I agree with you. 我同意你说的，你不是一个典型的英国人，就是味道又不一样。
对，味道肯定不一样吧，肯定不一样。对。其实我觉得有些人觉得有点烦，如果我说哦我是中国人，但是我跟中国长大的中国人比较，我是完全不一样，这是肯定的。就是我是自己学中文，我是很多中国文化的地方我都不了解。
是的。
So it's quite annoying if I say, like, yeah, I'm totally Chinese. Like, I'm not trying to pretend that I'm that either. Yeah, but I think as an influencer, I hate this word, right? But as an influencer, I do. Okay. I do have like a kind of. I have to be very clear. Who do I want to say I am? You know, it's like a statement almost, right? So when people ask me this question, I do say Chinese because it's just in my heart for whatever reason I do feel more emotionally close to China.
So that's the thing,
Yeah,
Toto.
yeah.
I want to pause it here. I say the words you say that is super, super clear and important. It's from your heart.
Yeah. So in my heart, if I look at myself, I feel like a Chinese man.
Exactly.
But I know that also I'm not in some ways.
But your heart is you're China.
Yeah.
You're Chinese, and you're interesting about everything about China.
Sure.
Right?
But I love London. You know, I do love London.
Yeah.
And I love the friends I grew up around and the place I grew up in.
Yeah.
Even
so,
though it had its
so
bad side as well. But you
一句话总结。
know, that's life.
Yeah. So your life, like let's using one sentence summary. This question, the answer is a
mess.
He doesn't know who he is. It's a mess.
非常可怜可怜的 yeah
Okay. 好 now let's talk about you are such a mess, but you are so brilliant. I mean, you are. Look at all this award system.
I know, and it just happens to be here as well. What are the chances that as we film?
2022, 2023,
Fantastic.
the best 最杰出的英国最杰出的青年 2023 everything, right? So, what happens, right? Such a mess and make it such an achievement. Tell us more about your career and then find out your niche.
Well, the first thing is like being a mess, right? It's not all bad. There is definitely, and I always want to share this as well. Like people say, oh, is it hard to be mixed? And yeah, it is hard. Is it hard to not speak the first language of your dad or whatever? It's difficult, of course, but it's also a massive advantage, right? Especially in London, where if you're different, if you're from a different background, people want to know about it, right?
Exactly.
And then when I go to China, I know I have what we call white privilege, right? Meaning that, you know, as somebody who is, 混血, but also just as somebody who looks more white, I think in China, like for whatever reason, that's still something that people celebrate. I don't think that's a good thing, but that's the reality, right? So it gave me more opportunities. It meant people that were more interested in where I'm from, even in China. And like I say, in London, people always want to know where you're from, right? So I think a lot of it is also that, you know, when you're different or you have a kind of background that people are curious about, it gives you opportunities, you know? And there's sometimes when I'm like doing casting or whatever like that, people say, oh, we're looking for a mixed, you know, Western and Eastern, you know, so.
Specifically
so
mixed.
Yeah, so there's a lot of advantage that comes from that. I think a lot of it is what you make from it, but it's definitely not all bad. There's a huge good side to it as well. So, you know, yeah.
But in terms of your personal achievements, I mean, you have a different platform. Let's say being a mixed, having a privilege for both sides, right? Are different. But what did you do by yourself to utilize this platform, become who you are today?
In terms of my career, I had my heart completely broken and I was like devastated. Yeah. So after that, that's when I went to China, right? So I was with a girlfriend. I was with a girlfriend at university, and then we broke up, and it was very painful. And then I always had wanted to go to live in Beijing.
So you had a girlfriend before?
Yeah.
So you're not gay?
I'm not gay, unfortunately.
Good. All right,
I'm sorry,
okay.
sorry, guys. Sorry, boys.
I always think about this. No girlfriends. Okay.
But maybe I'm lying.
So you had the girlfriends, and you broke. Sorry. I make a joke for your broke hearts story. Tell me about the story. So you're heartbroken.
Heartbroken, and then that gave me. So I'm losing my voice. I'm so emotional. That made me very motivated to. I was so down, and then I suddenly just thought, you know what? Like I always wanted to go to Beijing anyway. Finished university, didn't really know what I was going to do, right? And so that's when I also like went to China and just was working like 7 days a week. Just went crazy, workaholic, and tried to turn that into something better. And I think actually I wouldn't have had that drive, that dongli, without maybe going through some really, really bad stuff before, you know. So that, I mean, that's really what happened.
So
like when I went there.
What exactly gave you that drive? Work really hard in China. Is that your friend?
Well, I think the story, like for a lot of interviews and when I've done like news and stuff like that or TV, they say like, oh, it gets simplified like, oh, he always wanted to go to China because he loves China, because he wants to explore his identity and you know, but it's not that simple. Like, of course, there's different things as well. Like a lot of it is about, at that time I was very low, and then, you know, so I just wanted to do something and I just threw myself into modeling at first, which was like very, you had to just keep going, you know, have to like face lots of rejection and, Yeah, so that drive
China,
definitely. Yeah,
right?
oh yeah, of
So
course.
you
So I couldn't speak a word at that time, right?
You're starting your modeling in China.
That's when all of this started.
Look
really,
at this.
in Beijing. Yeah.
中英混血模特.
Yeah.
So that's basically you knock the door in China without speaking words of Chinese.
Yes. Yeah.
And be a look at that.
There was sometimes on the set, right, where I literally wrote before that I could speak Mandarin to like an okay level.
Yeah.
And actually the only thing I could say was 我爸爸是中国人，我妈妈是英国人.
That's it.
That's literally it. 你好, bye bye. 再见. And so I'd go to the set and like suddenly, because I didn't know what to expect, right? And then there'd be like loads of people. And when if you can't understand the director and you're like literally just talking complete bullshit, right?
Yes.
胡说八道, and then you're just holding everybody up on the set and everyone's so angry and it's like a nightmare, right? So again, that is another reason why I was motivated to learn Mandarin fast and just, keep pushing myself. And that's basically what I did.
China.
I just, yeah, I just literally nonstop, like, being on the set from very early in the morning until very late, sometimes 7 days a week. So just, that was a really fast way to learn.
Right. But you're on your own completely. Is that your dad with you? Or
no. He came to see me. When did he come to see me? Not in the first...
But he only go there,
I think.
Visit you.
He visit,
He's not helping you.
No. Well, he, Guanxi, right? So he had some friends.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped.
Yeah.
I think, the way he helped me the most is also just like learning from him, because even though he didn't speak Mandarin, I saw how he interacted with Chinese people. My dad and me, like, the truth is, like, we are very, and I should be honest with you, I think we're very popular in the Chinese community, partly because we're not rich, we're not wealthy, we never, nothing that we do is about money or like, I think some people feel sorry for us almost, but they also admire our sort of the way that even though obviously like we are poor, but we still just try to, we still be positive and we still ourselves and we kind of try to keep it natural. I know a lot of people that pretend they have more wealth than they do. This is a Chinese thing. A lot of people say like, look at me, I'm in this 5-star hotel, or I'm going to go take photos on this boat on the Thames or whatever. It's quite a, I don't want to say Chinese thing, but it's something that a lot of people do, right?
Show off things, right?
Yeah, 嘚瑟, right? Yeah.
哎呦，嘚瑟才知道，可以。
嘚瑟一下哈。
对。
Yeah, I think me and my dad almost laugh at and 嘲笑自己. We sort of, in English you say like self-deprecating, right? We're always like putting ourselves down, and it's quite funny almost. I think this is just our personality, right?
Yeah.
So I've like in London, I learned this from my dad. Like even if I'm with friends from private school or friends from other places, and people are like, "Oh, dress nice,"
posh,
or like you're a model, you have to look good and all of that. But sometimes like there's different ways to do it, right? Like if you want to make an impression and you want to get results from whatever, right? Sometimes I go to a modeling set and I deliberately just wear my own clothes, but I would try to go in and be the loudest, most confident, most relaxed person on the set. Immediately I'd see the director and I'd be like, "Yo, how are you?" And try to like make friends with them, show them that whatever they need, I'm going to give it to them. But I wouldn't try to go in and be mysterious and elegant and kind of give this image that I'm someone that I'm not. So that I learned from my dad is that if you're always yourself, that feeling people can feel that and they can recognize
so basically
it.
You be observe, you grew up with your dad, so watching like how earthy or authentic
exactly.
he was. Like, then once you're in China, when you start to 在中国闯, tick off like your world, like in China yourself, you learn that's not like being arrogant and then utilizing your
it doesn't help really.
Prestige, right?
I am very arrogant. I don't want to give the impression that I'm not arrogant, but I know I am. But
Are you?
Egocentric, but well, of course I wouldn't have the energy to do all this if I didn't also want to promote myself and so that's, and not to say I'm humble, but I think there's just a certain like.
So are you arrogant? You are not?
I guess these words are hard to define, but definitely I have an ego, of course. I couldn't work the way I work without thinking also about how I look and what people think of me and all these things. Of course, I think everybody in their heart at some point also does think about these things. But what I mean to say is that I think from my dad I learned that it's okay. It's not all about your image and your money and your status, even though people think it is. I remember when I was young, like we'd always go to Chinese restaurants, right? So I always joke that my dad grew up in China, I grew up in Chinatown, right? And sometimes we'd be with like business people or his friends of his who were very, very wealthy. But I remember my dad always being the center of attention, always being the one telling the stories, the jokes, you know, even though somebody else would 请客, like they would buy the meal for everybody. So in a way they'd have the status. But at some point in the evening, I always remember my dad would start to tell stories, and he might have a junahai and he'd be smoking and he'd be drinking or whatever, but the attention would come to him. And I think a lot of that, he did that through being natural and also like laughing at himself and just sort of trying to just relax, really. Just have charisma. You know, charisma is one of those things, like you have it or you don't. And I think some people, try to compensate with other things when actually anybody, when they're themselves, you know, you feed off that energy. So I think I definitely learned that from my dad.
Okay, so basically that is like a being authentic, right? And then what I say, that's earthy and authentic. The other way is like you know, you have your ego, but you know, you're not like a how should I define this? Like a 不要看待你自己特别的多，
对，这个没用吧。
你虽然是名人 you are celebrity, but still like you are very natural, like
I hope so. I mean, I try to be. I mean, definitely, like there are times where, you know, if I look at old videos and stuff like that, I'm like, oh god, that's really unnatural. You know, and I don't know if me and you are being totally natural right now, right? Just don't think about yourself as too important. You know that whatever you think about yourself, other people are seeing you differently. And in whatever situation you're in, no matter your achievements or whatever, your status or whatever, like the reality is, you know, you want to get the best results, and you want to think about what does the other person want. And so I think being humble, like Chen Xuan, is also really, really important.
It's very important,
But don't be too humble.
Don't be too humble, and people looking differently. But the advice we give it to the audience is like you have a really a drive, want to successfully. Right?
For sure, I mean that drive, like
I do everything.
I think
if I get this
sure. I think, you know, that's probably the key thing, is like firstly choosing what you really want, what really makes you happy. So this is the most important thing, and I noticed
that's
this
your self-planning things, right?
Self-planning, but also just having conversations with yourself, being honest with yourself.
What you want,
because, and this is something like I've got British friends and Chinese friends who really struggle with this, is they actually deep in their heart they're not confident, and so they tell themselves, oh, what I want to do is this, or what I want to, and it seems a bit like more of a safe route, maybe a safe career, but actually they've got this dream at the same time. So I've got loads of friends that go into certain industries and they don't really love it, and then I don't really know why they do it. You know, they say, oh, it's because I want to make money. Okay, but if you only want to make money, that you could just go and do that then. You know, there is this, and people try to find a balance between like, oh, it's a little bit creative, but I can still make better money. But actually what they really want to do, most people in the end, they want to do something creative, I think, right? Deep in their heart. And if you don't want to do something creative and you really do want to make money, then personally I think just go and do that, and then go and live, you know, go travel the world or whatever, and make the money first, you know. So I've got lots of friends that kind of go into certain industries and it's definitely not their passion, their dream, and you can tell because they talk about their dream when they have something to drink, or when they, you know, it comes out slowly, you see. And so people try to hide from the fear of failure by going into something that I don't really think is their passion.
So you never have the fear of the failure?
No, never. That's one thing I'm very blessed to have.
Tell me about more.
And I think the key thing is that I always knew I wanted to be a performer, right? And it can be all these different types, right? So you know, modeling and presenting and acting and whatever. But I love to perform, right?
You love to perform, but what about like how do you feel when you fail? Like say you didn't get the role.
It's hard, but
you didn't get role, you get a bad comment from your performing.
Like if I didn't do something and I know it could have been a lot better, or I spent a lot of time on this project and I got ready, and then I see it and I go, oh no, like that's definitely not what it could have been. It's disappointing, it's frustrating, and but failure in terms of, like you say, rejection, or people not liking me, or somebody being rude or whatever, honestly there are some parts where it's so brutal that you just some people, it would, I think, maybe very much upset them, but I was just very lucky that when it happens to me I kind of go, all right, cool, and then move on to the next one, you know. So just lucky, really.
You think it's lucky? I think because you grew up in Chinatown. So that's the perseverance, right?
Oh, but that's another thing as well. Yeah, you say like, where does it come from? Well, maybe one thing is that I'm very lucky to have, even though when I grew up we didn't have money, but my parents always told me I was the best, and so that, of course, like that's gonna affect your heart, right? Like you're gonna, yeah, of course. Well, a lot of Chinese friends, especially, to be honest, like they feel that they're always told they're not the best. They need to improve. But then there's a different
way of educate, different parenting.
Yeah, different parenting. But there's a bad side as well. To you get a medal, you're a winner even just for joining in. So you're the best, even if you're not the best. Actually, there's a downside to that as well, because a lot of people grow up thinking, I've got this bright future, and I'm going to be the best, and I can just do that at the same time as enjoy life and be free and do whatever I want. But the reality is you have to put the work in. You have to really think about what you want. You have to accept that you're going to have disappointment and get rejected, and you just have to keep going. So
that's
and a lot of it is luck as well. So
luck. Yeah. Oh, okay. So
east to west, yin yang.
Yin yang.
Yeah.
So now I understand. Like, let me summarize the answer. See if it's right. Okay. Being a mixed, you grew up in London, so the parenting is more British. So that gives you a lot of confidence, even though that's like you haven't get to the best stage yet. But you've been told you're the best, you're the excellence. That's obviously helping you boost your confidence. But being the other part of Chinese descendants, so you grew up, you learned how your dad being the center of attention, or being humble, being an artist, like so you learn that's the way that's interacted with the Chinese. You also learn that you have to try all your best, have the drive, working really hard to get to what you want, and then you can perform. So all of this combination that make you started to be successful
sure,
where you're in Beijing. Am I right?
I think that's a really good, good breakdown.
That's good. That's being advantage of a mixed.
Sure,
right?
but then luck as well,
Luck, a different state. But I talk about luck, it's timing. Okay,
timing,
let's talk about timing. So once you come back for China, I understand that most of your fans, that they're really touched by, because you're such a good son, so you come back to the UK because your parents they need some help, right? But during the COVID time, the timing, that's the timing that the social media booming, right?
Yeah.
So then you set up like this channel for your family. It's called 英伦郭哥一家人, right? So you're filming director, and then that grew this channel so rapidly, like both in YouTube and then Chinese social media, right?
Yeah, and I think it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for COVID. Of course, like the first thing was the documentary. So, or to go back a little bit, like when I say that, my dad was always a big inspiration for me, but that's because I knew how talented he was. But the reality is, for my life until COVID, he was working on the street. He was busking, and and my mom tried to get him work to be his agent. I tried when I was a teenager to get him work and be his agent. I remember being in school. I go to the school library to email different other schools or community centers or whatever, say, oh, my dad's a great musician. Do you want to use him for a concert? And I was a teenager, right? But he never listened, and so he just has no sense of marketing and sort of promoting himself. And,
so your dad just want to earn the money that he can earn today.
Yes, today. Yeah. I mean, he grew up poor, like
I know.
super poor.
So
So if he could get some cash in his hand,
he just want to see that's the money I earn.
Yeah.
So he just want to perform on the street.
Yeah. I remember he did a concert with Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. A recording actually.
Right, yeah.
And even though like they got on really well, and Roger Waters loved his music and stuff like that, but he was asking for cash like in the studio, you know. So I mean, that's his mentality, growing up like that. And so, where was I? Yeah, so I always really wanted to share not just his music, but also his personality with everybody. I was so proud of him, the way he tells stories, chef, footballer, musician, all these things, right? But but then at the time, I was in China, right? So when I came back in COVID, the first thing actually was to make this documentary about his life, and there were these old like BBC tapes and this footage from the 80s, and he was on these different TV shows, and So I put those together to make this film, which I definitely wouldn't have been able to do if I was working full time in modeling and stuff like that. There was just no time, right? So so that's how it started, and then social media, and yeah, I think people just found our relationships very touching.
But still, like Chinese people, when you're China, some Chinese people told you
to do social media.
To do social media.
They did. Yeah. But I didn't. You know why I didn't do it? To be honest, was because, firstly, Mandarin. At that time, my Mandarin was much different from now, like much more basic. But also, like, I didn't just want to do the social media style. You know, I just didn't want to be handsome English guy in these fun videos. You know, it didn't really. I tried it a few times, and that the people who asked me to work then and the things I got employed for were seriously like very typical sort of short, silly, fun videos. And it was fun to try, but like I didn't get any feeling from it. I mean, to be honest, like the fire for modeling burnt out quite quickly as well, because once you do it and you overcome your fear of like, what's it going to be like on the set, and you know, am I good enough, and all of this stuff, the actual feeling from it, for me personally, because I'm not that into fashion anyway, I'm not that, I don't love modeling. So once the fire and the energy, you know, and the experience was done, and I was just doing it to earn a living quite quickly, I wanted to do something else, you know? So then it took a while to find with social media my own series of videos, you know? And when I was modeling, my name wasn't on anything. So even though it was great for earning a living and I felt like a dream come true, I'm lucky to have done it. But I think in life, nobody has just one dream. Like if you think about life as one dream, you're never really going to be satisfied, because once you get there, you're going to want something else the next day.
Right.
So actually, the most important thing is to enjoy the process, but also accept that, you know, things are going to change. So you have to try different things, I think, and really see what happens, you know.
So are you saying that's like being a model was your first dream?
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
this came true.
And
then somehow you decided that you adapted the new trends. You listen to other people, open a new channel, which is social media.
Sure.
Right?
And actually, to be honest, like that's much more sustainable, I think, because I'm me, right? I'm Toto, so I get to try different types of performance and make my own videos and go on other people's videos and go on TV and go on whatever, and have to be a bit more creative in terms of how do we make this, and we can make something ourselves, you know. So it's more homemade. So so it's all very different. And then emceeing, I love emceeing. You know, that's for me actually, that's my favorite. To be the MC, like that's definitely my favorite, because there's that feeling of when you go on stage and it's just you and a microphone, and your aim is to try to, you know, get people going and sort of, you know,
passion.
I love that.
Talk about
the raw energy.
Talk about 主持, right? Look at this, like the 春晚, so 2024 春晚 2025, right? And then so you're the 主持人, right? The host for I see that. The 中英混血. And then we're also having a footage, but you are hosting 1,000 people outside of
Trafalgar Square,
Square, It's very impressive. So then that means like you find your second dream, which is you cracked them already. So you have over like millions of followers for you and your family. What's the next then, Toto?
So I'm making a film now. So this is a drama. Okay. Yeah, I say film, but you know, it's a 7-episode drama.
Yeah.
Chinese we can say 短剧, but actually again, it's not like 短剧. It's a bit like with social media, like I really don't want to make something that some people have already made, you know, so I'm trying to make something more original. So I don't really know if it's called a 短剧 or just
so you're making a new thing. Can you or something? Can you let us know a little bit about what you're making?
Yeah, so I would say it's like a British style TV show, low budget, but for China, with Chinese characters,
right,
speaking a mix of Mandarin and British, and so kind of taking like what I guess you would call the Netflix style of drama on a low budget, and giving it to Chinese audiences, you know. So it's not like your typical short dramas or your kind of, you know, and it actually is different from, I would say, a lot of Chinese iQIYI dramas or like Chinese Netflix, because, you know, it's really about the community, it's about people, it's like very British style, meaning we're trying to make it almost feel like a documentary, whereby the characters and the acting and it's sad, you know, what goes on in people's lives. And so trying to make it so real that you almost don't know, are these actors or are these real people, you know?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So as natural as possible. and I guess the most popular types of TV show in China tend to be romance,
happy ending,
historical, sci-fi,
Yeah.
you know, things like this. So trying to do something different,
Okay. And why are you doing this?
You know, lots of reasons. Yeah, I mean, I always, my dad is like my favorite person, right? So I always try to think about different ways to show his talent, and so he's one of the main characters. So that's a big reason. Is he's a great actor, really good actor, and you know, he's never really done any formal acting, but he's really good. So I wanted to share that. I wanted to share the story of the community, and it touches on lots of topics that I think are really, really important. So a lot of it is about racism that the Chinese community have faced. A lot of it is about sexism that Chinese women have faced. A lot of it is about identity and not really knowing who you are. And so all these topics I really want to share. And I feel like even though people know them, I personally haven't seen anything really about that, especially in the London Chinese community, or even in the States, in terms of, you know, really kind of international dramas.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot about the community that I'd love to share. The community in London, to me, is almost like a bigger family, you know, because I grew up around there in Chinatown with not just wealthy business people, but also restaurant bosses and cleaners and waiters and all these different characters and cultural association people and big sisters, so you say 大姐, right? All the, you know, and students now, all the students coming in, and things are changing, you know. So the Chinese community when I grew up in the 90s is different from all the people coming in now, you know. So I think it's a really interesting time to tell this story. People are always asking, like, Western friends are always asking, you know, what's going on with, I keep hearing, you know, China's getting bigger and bigger and all these people are coming in, and you know, what's that about? And you know, there's still this kind of distance between the two cultures, of course. So, you know, in this drama, I hope also not just that we can tell this story about the Chinese community to show people in China who haven't been to the West what life's like for overseas Chinese, but also show people, Western people, what's going on with the community here, you know, because a community can be right next to you and you don't know much about it, you know. And I feel like there's lots of Western TV shows about different cultural communities in London or New York or wherever, and they get to explore that. And I still, to this day, don't feel like there's any great drama or story about a Chinese community overseas.
Yes.
Even though I know Asian films are getting more and more popular in the West, but a lot of it is still comedy. A lot of it is still a bit Chinglish and kind of tongue in cheek.
Copywriters, they're not living in this particular community. It's just a make-up story, or
sure,
she heard a story and then making a more elaborate, making a film, right? But with you, as you are this typical mix person living in this pot, multi pot, so you see the real story, and then you want to zoom in and show that the real story, capture the moments.
It's a dark story, no, it's tough, but I think it's important, and I love this story, and so I don't know, you know, when you grow up, like, we watched some Chinese films like Zhang Yimou and Chen Kaige and all these films that are masterpieces, but I mostly grew up watching Western films, right? And you know, Chinese films always have to read English subtitles, and you know, so I remember when I was younger, it was strange to not have anybody in film or music, or you know, to really look up to, and really it was like Bruce Lee and Jet Li, and that's you know, for real it was like that. And it's hard to find people, I think, for overseas Chinese and mixed, to find people that you really identify with, that you can kind of look up to. And I think people might forget that like, and also I could give you a list from, because I love old films, right? I could give you a list of a Hollywood film from pretty much every year that for no reason just like randomly has a stupid Chinese character, or something where they're kind of slightly laughing at an Asian character or an evil Asian character, or you know, there's a lot of discrimination, and it's not always super racist and super strong, but there are lots of examples even to now, and that always made me angry as well. So I think part of the reason why I'd love to tell this story is to give a bit of a spotlight and sort of shake up the image of, like, you know, the stereotypical Asian character.
Correct the image, right? That's the real Chinese, right? Not
real Chinese,
So then this topic going to be like quite deep. You do think, so from what you're saying, that you do think there's a discrimination,
of course,
existing in the UK,
yes,
overseas, not just the UK.
Sure. And I'm one of those people who thinks, like, sometimes the best way to fight discrimination sometimes is to not always focus on it, and you know, some people I think go too much into that and so end up feeling like victims, which actually probably is not the best way to solve it. So part of the strength against discrimination actually comes from finding yourself and you know, as a community coming together and you know, doing positive things to come back from it. And so but in this particular situation, I feel that qianxun, for example, like sort of humility and the Chinese way, qianxun, it's obviously it works very well in China, and it has done for China, not just for Chinese people in the mainland, but as a country, in terms of how they treat the rest of the world. But you know, when you're in the West, and you know, so many Chinese people here, when they face discrimination, they don't really get it. They don't even know it's happening sometimes. And so there are some parts where I think we really do have to stand up, and I think it's very important.
Can you give me an example then, when you think like what you say 谦虚 is 是中国人的美德 is our you know, like it's also from the Confucius, like which is like a 谦虚, and people cherish that. But you said as here, if people 太谦虚, so then they get discriminated without realizing. Just give us example. Even or also I want to hear example you has been discriminated when you grew up.
So school, Chinese kids and other Asian kids, but especially Chinese kids, bullied or told you're only good at maths, or the kind of geek, or and asexual as well, like not really allowing to as a male like express yourself. Chinese female classmates either being labeled as asexual, or just having
what is asexual?
Not allowed to show your 性感, you know, just like kind of afraid to really come out of your shell, you know. So things like that, modeling industry, like oh my god, like the amount of discrimination, you know, where it's like again kind of I would say the Muji man, like kind of you know, where Asian men get cast in things where again it's like a very safe, warm image of what a man should be, so just not really yourself, you know. And so Asian women again often typecast, and you know, I've been on set where directors have been making sexual jokes about Asian women and kind of like how they speak English and things like that. In the workplace as well, I've seen that. I've got lots of friends who are like, I've been with them and with some Western people, and they've been actually laughing at them right there in that moment, but because of a language barrier, they don't realize it. Loads of different things. I mean, this drama touches on all different types, I think, of discrimination.
Does it exist all the time?
Yeah. I mean, my dad used to, when he was busking, he used to get people who bankers and businessmen who'd finish work and get drunk, and they'd throw things at him and they'd say, give me a number 7 sweet and sour chicken and things like that. And there are just lots of ways where I think actually, like, because I've seen it all my life, right? And I'm in my 30s now. In different ways, right? And some of it is not like violent racism. Sometimes it is, and we'll talk about that as well. But a lot of it, I think, is just like, it's time to really talk about this and say that it happens and know that it happens. And then if we know that it's happening, then we can find a way to combat it, or we can find a way to move on from it and not accept it. And that's, I think, a really good thing. But the problem is that because nobody's talking about it, or at least I haven't seen any people talking about it in the drama medium, I think it just goes unanswered, and then it just continues, you know. And so sorry, in terms of recent things that have also very much inspired me to speak about this, is that I keep hearing about Liu Xuesheng, like overseas students being mugged, being attacked, phones stolen, things like that.
So that's going to be in your movie, right?
Yeah, it is. And you know, there are some people who I know who target Asian people if they want to steal a phone, if they want to steal a bag in a restaurant or whatever's going on, because they think they won't fight back, you know.
Because it's not because they think they're rich, because they think they won't fight back.
Maybe it's that too. But the stories just keep coming and coming. So I think you know, it's really good to talk about it. And I'm not saying it's going to make a big difference, but I just think it's good to put the light on it. You know,
it's good to put the light on. It's good to put on the stage, and people start to. When they see it, they can start to think, rather than like they've been told, right? That's really good.
At the same time, it is confusing though, because in a way, like I also think there is the Chinese attitude of move on and don't be a victim and don't focus on it is also it obviously really works as well as a culture. They've done amazing things and actually always faced discrimination right back from when people first started emigrating to the West. When was that? 1830s or whatever. So those stories have existed for a long time. And I think in many ways people would say, well, we should celebrate in a way the peacefulness of people from Asia. I know that Chinese kids in London, BBC's born here, like me.
Yeah. You're not BBC.
Not BBC, sorry. What am I? MBC.
We don't know
mixed
who you are.
British, we don't know. Yeah. Something. There's some statistic like they are, even those on free school lunches. So in the UK, if you're on free school lunches, it means that you're from a low income background, right? So you get support. Still do the grade, like in terms of the grades they get in school, do some of the best. That's extraordinary to me. And I think a lot of that does come down to the attitude of the Chinese community to keep going, to be disciplined, to qianxun, as you say, to be humble, and a lot of it comes down to cultural values. However, at the same time, like I couldn't not share this.
You couldn't be just
this
like
story
silent.
And this anger that I feel. But
Okay.
also, there's a positive side to the story as well. So
Great.
You'll see. Yeah.
Great angle. Okay, I think that's enough 剧透.
剧透, yeah.
That's enough. We really make me really want to participate, and then look, I can have lots of story telling about this, like in business worlds, the same things. But that's another story. Okay, my last question gonna be: you said that you're not gay and you're 30s. What exactly are you looking for? When are you gonna find the best girlfriend and wife?
I don't know.
Right?
Maybe I'm
part of a Chinese,
Kelty,
right? Part of Chinese saying that 你30了，你应该成家了.
I know. Yeah.
Your
For
dad
sure,
always
for sure.
say that, right?
My dad?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. Maybe this is the thing about. Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay, cool.
He thinks that I should marry Gong Li.
巩俐太老了.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know who. Liu Yifan.
刘亦菲.
Liu Yifei. Yeah. Someone. Yeah. He thinks, I don't know why. Maybe it's a dad thing. Like if my son marries her, then that's me marrying her. Or so. I don't know. But anyway, he wants me to marry someone.
Yeah.
Very
famous
and
very
rich
pretty.
and beautiful and intelligent.
Asian.
And
Yeah.
But no, I mean the real reason why I haven't found anyone, I think, is that I'm a workaholic.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And
so all you're thinking is a business, work, rather than like a date.
I don't really fancy anyone. Like it's very rare that I meet someone and I really feel attracted, but also like a kind of romantic connection. It takes a long time to build that, I think.
The girlfriends, like the university breakouts really hurts your
it did. Yeah, of course. Yeah, big time. Made me numb. Yeah, for sure. And and it's also like, now, like so much of my work is with the Chinese community, and meet lots of people. But of course, if I date with a Chinese woman, then we do have cultural differences. We do have language barriers, and I don't want to ignore that. It's not easy to overcome that. You have to really work at it. You have to be really serious. If you're serious,
you need to find the same one that's don't know who they are. It's mixed as well, right? Yeah.
Maybe mixed. Yeah.
maybe it's work better for you. So you're saying that
maybe I'm just really fussy. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know.
No, but you point out like a very you point out factors that exist like for this mix in marriage or dating, because you think you are Chinese but you are not Chinese,
right?
When you're dating with a Chinese, and then so they will think like you are Chinese but you're weird because like you are not. That's why there's a lot of conflict. Conflicts.
Maybe in the beginning, like to them, there's something where like that's really fascinating, because like. Even though he is very different, or maybe for them also they want to learn more about Western culture, or they want to learn English or whatever, so there's something like different, and then they think, but at the same time, that's cool because we can speak Chinese as well, and he can get on with my parents and these things like this, And maybe in the beginning it's all very exciting, but then
but indeed you are mixed.
In terms of deep, I'm mixed and I'm a mess, right? So in terms of deep connection, like over time, you know, sometimes, of course, the real differences come out, you know. But then at the same time, like with British girlfriends, it's difficult as well because
you're always around
like,
with all the Chinese. Who are you?
And I, you know, go to China, and you know, so if that's not part of their world as well, then already there's this huge difference. And I know that shouldn't matter if you're really in love. So maybe that's what I'm waiting for then, is someone that I'm so in love with, and they're so in love with me that it doesn't matter that we're completely different. All right. So who knows?
Okay, all the best. Good luck for finding your future girlfriends and then successful for business.
Yes.
And then we're looking forward to see your movie.
Maybe if friends like this video, then I will find a girlfriend soon. 多点赞，
Thank you, Toto.
Thank you so much. Yeah.